Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I hope that you're having a wonderful Friday wherever you are in the world. It is Friday, September the 27th. It's around 1 p.m. or so in the afternoon. And I'm Dr. Flo, and I'm here to share with you today from our program called Deconstruction Junction, where we pick apart and tease apart the ideas that come to us week by week. We understand that sometimes you have ideas that need sharing and ideas that you'd like to share with others. So we're here for that space. And if there's something that you've been thinking about this week that you would like to tease apart with us in the next 20 minutes or so, you are certainly invited to do that as well. Remember, as we get started today, that joy is the resistance. We're calling for ceasefire in our hearts and also in the world globally. I'd like to thank the donors and sponsors for their support. The grocery money in my donation-based enterprise and helping me down the path is not lost. And the attaboys and support that happens over on TikTok is also freaking fantastic. So thank you for being kind to us and being kind to the mission and being kind to the work. And as always, never, ever, ever forget to keep hope alive. I'm going to start today's Deconstruction Junction with deconstructing from We the Urban. Once again, this is an old post that I'm bringing back from a previous Deconstruction Junction. It's called How to Be Your Own Savior. And let's deconstruct in this moment how to be your own savior. And if there are some ideas that we share today that speak to you and causes your light bulb to go on or even off, because sometimes the lights need to go off too. Not always on, not always off. Sometimes on, sometimes off, sometimes neither. Sometimes we have a slider or a fader that allows us to have all these different levels. But anyway, let's deconstruct how to be your own savior. From We the Urban, do not play small. Do not play small. Constantly seek inspiration. Acknowledge your growth. Acknowledge your growth. Maybe you're like me and you've only been growing a fraction of a centimeter each day, and you're standing over the garden of your life going, I need zucchinis to eat.
Trust me, I got plenty of zucchinis.
I know you do, but I don't.
But I don't. But do. It's my own damn fault. Okay, you're welcome for the Jimmy Buffett this morning, y'all.
Thank you. So you got to acknowledge your growth. You got to appreciate your wins. You got to practice discipline, whatever that means for you. You got to practice mindfulness. Be proud of yourself. Speak highly of yourself. Hype yourself up. Celebrate yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Above all else, love yourself. Remember that you are enough exactly as you are in this very moment. Pause before you react. Resist the urge to act on impulse. Do not light your own fires in your telegrams and businesses and then wonder where all your footage for the last year went. Slow down, breathe, and make a plan. Give yourself the space to process. Operate from a place of calm and clarity. Choose your responses with intention and love. This also includes your responses to your life. Are you responding to your life in the present moment with intention and love? Are you responding to your life situations with intention and love? Say it with me. I speak highly of myself. I speak nicely to myself. I motivate myself. I support myself. I validate myself. I love myself. I'm gonna land right there because there's like 20 more slides in that deck, but I speak highly of myself. I speak nicely to myself. I motivate myself. I support myself. I validate myself. I love myself. Tara, was there a huge deconstruction process that needed to take place in your life for you to love yourself, or have you loved yourself for a long time? I'm personally deconstructing and tearing apart all of the things that separated me from love of myself. Was this an easy path for you or a difficult one given your lived experiences?
I think that, what do I want to say? I think that my journey has definitely been different. I wouldn't say, like, I don't want to compare my journey to everybody else's, but for the most part, what I find is that there are ideas that I held about myself that were put upon me by my parents, preventing me from loving the actual me that was me, right? And so I wouldn't say that the journey to like learning to love myself was hard, but the deconstructing of the thoughts and where those thoughts came from, that was the deconstruction that I did. I think I'm lucky that I have always pretty much liked me as a human. There's facets of me that I'm like, ugh. But then for the most part, I'm like, ah. And when I have a kiddo where I'm like, oh, are you going to talk about your kid like that? No, then don't talk to yourself that way. Don't love yourself that way. Don't love yourself conditionally, right? And I think that was maybe the part that was the hardest for me to learn, that I can love myself regardless of what's happening around me or how people are responding to me, right?
Absolutely, and it makes me recall the idea that I spoke about yesterday, or day before yesterday in our network, that I should not be putting more pressure on myself than I would put on a child.
Right.
I should not be talking to myself in any way that I wouldn't to like a 6-year-old.
Right.
I would never tell a 6-year-old, like, you need to hurry it up because this is taking long enough. Like if they were learning to tie their shoes, and the shoelaces kept coming undone, as happened with all of us, or the shoelaces just didn't tie at all, or if they were a knot, you know, everybody knows if you do the crossover pull twice, I don't know how you tie your shoes, but if you do the crossover twice, you got a knot.
I never learned the bunny ears thing, y'all. Like, you know how the people do the bunny ear with the loop? Like, I don't, God bless you all that did.
Well, let's deconstruct this. How do you tie your shoes?
Well, I mean, I make the two loops, and well, I first cross, under, tie, right?
That is the first tie, yes.
And then you loop and you tie the loops together. I never learned the like round bunny ear.
Oh man, yeah, that's what I do. I go through first and then into that first tie, and then I pull one hoop, and then I wrap around that one and come through.
Y'all let us know how you learn to tie your shoes.
Please let us know in the chat, whether you're in real life or watching the replays or listening later. Please let us know in the chat. Like, what is the deconstruction of how you tie your shoes? Right. But I would never say to that child, "You're an idiot."
Right.
It's been 3 months and you haven't tied your shoes yet.
Right.
It's been 3 years and you still don't know your ABCs.
And I saw this reel the other day that was like, what if we celebrated adults the way that we celebrate babies? Like, in the first 5 days of Piper being alive, it was like, oh my God, you pooped. Oh yes, you pooped, you peed. Oh my God, you smiled. Oh my gosh, you're learning to sit. Oh my God. You know, like, we celebrate babies' accomplishments, particularly firstborn children, so much more than we celebrate adults. Like, we get to the ripe old age of 10 and it's like, okay, so what? So what? You got an A in your class. So what? You learned a new song on piano. So what? You know, like, we're a society very much built on like the accomplishment doesn't matter unless it's brand new and unless you're super young to be achieving that accomplishment, right? Like, and it's really a shame, because if we just celebrated each other and celebrated ourselves, like, you know, like, oop, I made it to the bathroom, I made it to that potty and I peed on it, you know what I mean? Oop, I took my shower today. Like
I'm talking about me. Like, I actually had great poops today. That should be celebrated.
Right. Congratulations to you. Like, our self-care app celebrates us, right? Like, Poppy is always like, not Poppy Suzette, Poppy, my pet, my non-binary pet. It's always like, oh,
Poppy
good job.
With an I, not with an I.
Mm-hmm. Poppy. Yeah. Poppy. They're always, yay, you did it. You know, let's go adventuring together. It's like, okay, yes. But where else do you get that, right? And I think that also is that would be like, if I was going to say something about why people don't love themselves, it's because we don't celebrate ourselves, because we're actively taught not to celebrate ourselves for very simple things, right? Oh, I got up this morning. I drank my water. Yay. I drank my coffee. Yay. I brushed my teeth. Yay. You know, small things.
What say you about, and I was talking about this earlier on the TikTok lives and throughout the ecosystem of love today, what say you about celebrating ourselves and the negative attention or the negative press that it can invite in? I feel like fear of judgment and the negative ire, either real or imaginary, of others can cause.
I think a lot of it is imaginary. I think we believe that people are going to be mad at us for being joyful. I don't think, in my perception, that that's absolutely true. And the reason that I don't think it's true is because, you know, I have this incessant, and we talk about this a lot, but I have this incessant need to believe that there is something beyond all of the negative bullshit that we put into our lives. And I force people, this is what I talk about all day long, every single day. It's like, okay, you don't like where we are? What is beyond? What are we building? Where are we moving? There is a world possible that is not the one that we live in right now, right? And someone reflected that back to me. I was doing an accentuate the positive in my stories, and you just had to click yes, and I gave you a compliment. And the person responded back to me and said, oh my gosh, Terry, your ability to just believe in positivity, right? And believe in the beyond and believe in the joy, like, that is the brilliance of you. So I have never gotten a negative response to my joy in that way, right? So it is hard for me to understand why anyone would be negative. I can kind of, what do you call it? Cognitively understand why we believe people might be negative towards us, because we aren't celebrating ourselves. We're feeling like, oop, that wasn't enough, right? Oop, that was too much. Oop, you know, I don't deserve this, to go back to something else you've been talking about all week, right? Deservability. Like, I think a lot of that, the fear of a reaction that's negative, or even negative reactions that are real, right, that happen, I think that those they get cognitively distorted. And I just really think that we have to do it in spite of. I think that joy and positivity is to be celebrated, and I don't think people actually shy away from it as much as we believe they do. Like, sure, the viral shit this week was Marcellus, right? And rest in power, sir. But there was positive across the internet as well. I don't know if people noticed that, but in the music world, everybody was doing the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And there were some funny videos that came out of that at the same exact time. So I think we have a real habit. Somebody came into I said a Your Space box yesterday, and somebody said, I'm trying to hold on to hope. And I said, well, it's a pretty damn good thing that we can cultivate hope and joy at our, at a whim, right? We can cultivate it, we can hold it, we can amplify it, we can make it larger, we can multiply it. Like, we can do these things in the same way that we can do them with negativity, right? In the same way we can do them with trauma, in the same way that we can compound everything that's happening in the world.
I do know. And once again, rest in power to the human life. That was Marcellus Williams. Taking a moment to deconstruct, why do you think that it took so long for us to discover that this man was on death row in the first place, and the knee-jerk reaction to try to save him in what felt to me like 72 hours?
It really kind of was 72 hours. And I don't know when. So, okay, let me state this first. Our justice system does not actually deliver justice. So let's start there.
What do you think it delivers?
Nothing. Did you, literally? Okay, so the justice system is meant to, prosecute crimes. But half of the crimes are not solved. Over half of crimes are never solved. Okay, area one. Number two, wrongful convictions. Right, I was listening to Undistracted with Brittany Packnett this morning, and she was saying how 36% of the people on death row are Black people in the United States. All it is yet another genocide. It is a governmental genocide. And so when we view the justice system as a system producing genocide and committing genocide, then I think we have a real easy gateway to saying that the reason that we didn't hear about it until 72 hours before was because the justice system purposefully did not find the evidence until shortly before.
But this is happening everywhere.
Right.
I might interject that justice as genocide harkens what we're seeing in Gaza as isn't real, having the ability to defend itself and the right to defend itself. And they're calling it justice, but it is genocide being masked as justice. Right. And what kind of society are we living in now where people can call a thing justice, but it's actually the destruction of human life? It feels very, very weird out here.
But hasn't it always been that way? I mean, not always in all of time, but at least in my lifetime, I don't think that the justice system has changed at all. I think that we're just being exposed to more of it because of technology. I don't think that anything has changed for 400 years, right? I don't think that, I just do not believe that any of this was ever meant to be something good.
Can I interject and just say that I think that things have progressively changed, but for me, in the same way that my life does, it feels like almost like a constant pivot around the same themes. Mm-hmm. Kind of like in a orchestral piece where there's just this constant motif that's going on throughout, and you hear it over and over again, and sometimes it's ominous and sometimes it's happy and what have you. That's what this experience feels like. 400 years of the look of progress and change, and actual progress and change, but also a pivoting around the same old tired tropes of not enough money, not enough education, not enough.
Keep the plebes down. They're too loud. Sound familiar? That's called Rome. Oops.
And Westeros.
And Westeros. And where are they in House of the Dragon? I guess Westeros. After watching, so I watched all of season 2. This is such a sideline, y'all. I watched all of season 2 of House of the Dragon before I had the rewatch of GOT. And so now when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, we were there in like 45,000 years ago. Like it's fascinating to see the dragons in the places that they're in Game of Thrones when we know how many dragons were there in House of the Dragon. It's really super cool. Also, humans are horrible. They put the dragons in small places, and the dragons grew smaller and smaller, and that's why they went extinct. It was a human thing. Rude.
It's always a human thing.
We ruined Westeros and dragons.
We always will, unless we come into an understanding that we're loved and lovable.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so with about 5 minutes on the clock to make way for our meetings and our future commitments and the other ways in which we bring magic to the place, and by the place I call Earth. What is an idea or a set of ideas that you are rolling around the most these days? For example, one of mine is that it's very important that I stop bothering myself. And very important that I take life as it comes, moment by moment. And I cannot get away from that. I'm constantly thinking about the ways in which I can stop bothering myself and step further out into courage and confidence, while also being in harmony with the me that is becoming every day. I'm doing this very interesting thing in life where I'm getting more fiery in my energy while also calming down.
But it makes it more potent, right? Like, I mean, and I don't mean this in like a negative way for those people that are loud speakers. That's not what I'm saying. But when we get direct to the point and there's no fluff, right? Like when we talk about the voice, when we talk about literally like the singing voice, what we actually want to do is focus it, right? We want to focus it and have like a vectorized process in order to hit the audience in a way. Like when we're talking about opera singing and we're talking about that pianissimo that carries through the venue, but they're not actually singing that loud. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all been there? Y'all heard these people do this? All that is, I suddenly feel like I didn't put mascara on this morning. Anyway,
all that is a lack of mascara and also aligning with and blending with the acoustics of the room
right,
the sound. In addition to a lack of your mascara slider can determine the lift of the note.
Right. Anyway, I was just like, my eyelids don't feel quite as heavy. Anywho, so
there's no product on them. There's no product.
when we I think we've talked about this before, but like one of the major, I feel like, assignments of activists and of activism is to distill your message into the shortest, most potent thing, right? So joy is the revolution. Push the damn button. You are loved and lovable, right? Like these are potent, short, easily repeatable messages. We shall overcome, right? And so we're distilling and making potent these big ideas. And that is the point of activism to me, so that more and more people can sign on. Right? More and more people can come to the gathering. More and more people can do it. And what you spurred on me today of what does it look like to have collective coalition? Because we build coalitions right now behind a leader, a singular leader, or a singular party. And so what does it look like to have a collective coalition that instead of following one thing, we are following multiple things? We are following multiple beings. We are following multiple ideas. What is a collective coalition? So the thing that's actually sticking for me, I think, is what you were asking. Like, what idea have I been rolling around and coming back to? Is this quote, and I don't even know that I've told you this week. But anyway, it was a quote from Mix in America. That's lie. It was from Biracial Unicorns. And the quote is, you were born a statement. You were born a statement. And the other one, and I think you said this week somewhere, is it's always been you. right? Like you were talking earlier about that like alley-oop thing we did in the DMs and like how we've come to a place where it's like, yeah, I could probably call you my admin assistant too. It's like I could be like, yo, I need you to go talk to Andre. Like he's got this outline for me, right? Or he's built the infrastructure to this, or he's my editor for my podcast, or like whatever. Da 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 da, right? So like, but it's always been me that people are waiting for. It's always been you that people are waiting for. It's always been me that I've been waiting for. I'm the answer to my own prayer. I am simply by being a statement, right? Like I don't have to your point and what you were saying about bothering yourself, like I don't have to be outside of myself. I don't have to yell and scream. I don't have to make complicated things, because what people really need is someone to say, your power is infinite. You're sitting there telling me you don't have power. Your power is infinite, right? You have power and it's infinite. And so finding those things, like it has always been me. I was always born a statement. I don't have to try to do either of those things, right? Yeah, your power is infinite. That's like the quote of the day. It's like, and I didn't mean to say it, child. Oh, you might scream. See, I'm telling you, this whacking the head thing. I don't know how to prevent that. Like I'm right here and we're whacking our head on my leg.
We all do it until we don't.
Right. Someday. And then we do it again when we try to learn how to ride a bike. And then we do it again when we try to walk in high heels. And then we do it again. Have you ever fallen off the front of the stage? Like an auditorium stage, like in a gym?
Yes.
Yes, I fought absolutely. Like, and then you trip over the set, like we all do it until we don't do it.
I mean, and with the way that light and shadows can shift, it can happen for any of us at any moment, regardless of age.
Like when you miss a stair on the way down, y'all know what I'm talking about? Like we still do that up until we're quite elderly.
And we hope to not break a hip and die from it.
Moving too fast. Right, that part.
Moving too fast. Well, thanks everybody for coming to Deconstruction Junction for September 27th. Speaking of moving fast, we have moved very rapidly through our program today. We want to remind you, as always, that joy is the resistance. If you want a way to stick it to the man in your life and let them have it, be joyful today. If you want to elevate the idea around ceasefire, both inside your heart and outside, today is a great day to do that. And joy is part of that process. I also want to thank all of our donors and sponsors and partners and producers for helping us get this far along the journey with a Love and Action Network. I want to invite you to come and sit with us around the fire and the campfire and the cloud every Friday as we deconstruct all sorts of things. I took notes today. Today we talked a bit about celebrating ourselves and the amplification of the disassociation of negative press and ire. Today we talked about what is beyond. We talked about not putting pressure on ourselves and moving into the direction of celebration. We talked today about Marcellus Williams, our brother, who we hope is resting in peace and power and is finally truly vindicated in life by life itself. We talked about justice as genocide and genocide as justice. We talked about artivist and activist assignments in addition to the collective coalition building. We talked about the fact that you were born as a statement and no one can change that fact about it, and that it's always going to be up to you or up to me to get the magic of life accomplished. And that's both the good news and the bad news. However, even better news is that we have each other. No one is alone in this work. And so we thank you all for being with us today and contributing to the awesome. You can go to lovedandlovable.bio.link to check out our programs and get to know us more. We are available every waking hour on the East Coast and Central Coast so far to encourage, equip, and empower you. So if you're in the Central Time Zone or the Eastern Time Zone and you're in waking hours, we are available to help you accomplish your dream, because helping you accomplish your dream is part of us accomplishing ours. And so it really is a circle of trust and a circle of love and a circle of belonging. On behalf of me, Dr. Flo, Tara Olo, and all of the healing practitioners at Love in Action Network, we remind you to stay in your joy, stay in your power, stay loved and lovable, and we will see you at the next Deconstruction.